Hey guys, Lupi here. This is where I left off in my last video, which was part 2. Did a few quests about an hour long, and about to go up this hill to do the first rift, and I thought I'd just take a look at the settings and show you guys the settings while I was looking at it. What I'm going to do is, in this video, I'm going to look at audio and video, go through those settings. I'm going to do the interface separate because that's there's a lot in the interface. I'm going to do Rift Connect separate as well on its own. So let's get to it. So for the audio, it's not a whole lot to do with the audio, which is that's about it. It's just this one page. We've got enable reverb, which enables reverberation sound effects. So if you're in a cave, you'll get some kind of echo. If you're in a room, it'll sound a little bit dull, like the noise will get absorbed in the room. That's basically it. If you're noticing any lag or weird sounds, try disabling that. It won't sound as realistic, but it's probably a safer option. Enable audio in background, which is when you tab out of Rift, say you want to have a look at the internet, or you want to go on Facebook or Twitter, whatever. It'll play the sounds of Rift in the background, so if you get attacked, you know about it. Or you say you're on, you're travelling somewhere, or like on a taxi or flight path, something like that. Then you can do that, and you'll know when you land, which is a fairly good one. But I just don't have it enabled. It's not something that appeals to me. So we've got music, which uncheck music. Let me uncheck music. There we go. As you can hear, music's gone. Check it again. There we go. Took a little bit of a while. Basically, the music's on a loop, so it's up to you. I have it on just because it makes it a bit less monotonous, you know, when you're doing solo stuff, and it's not so loud that it annoys you while you're playing. Again, you can set the volume yourself. You can go from 0 to 100. I'll sleep on 90 because for me all the sound options are really good. This voiceover, accolades, which is basically the voiceover. Can I get her to do something? I don't know if I can get her to do something. Maybe if I jump off a cliff she might. Can't even interact with any NPCs. Maybe this one. Maybe she'll say something.
Ah, I see. Peace be to you. Hello. Travel well.
Well, it's still doing that. There we go. You can change the volume of that. I'll put that on 90. I think the accolades are when you try and do something you can't. Which I can't. Get her to do anything like that. Nope, can't get her to do anything like that. I think maybe it's something to do with the motions thing. Yeah, that you can do, like slash raw, which you can do on WoW, but you can't do it on here. I don't know what the slash commands are, so I'll try and have a look at that. I think it's when you want to shout something, when your character's shouting something in combat and things like that. I think that's what the accolades are. Spell effects, ambient volume, environment volume. So at the moment we've got the environment volume. You can hear these meteor things being blasted out of the way. You can hear them flying through the sky. That's basically the environment. So you see that it's got there, you can't hear it anymore. The ambient volume is the environment. The noises that are around, so you can hear the rumbling of the volcano constantly, things like that. That's what the ambient is. Spells and abilities, that's sounds like that. So if we turn that off, you won't hear those. So I'll just leave everything on 90 as it is. So that's it, that's just the sound settings. Let's just have a look at the video. So we've got basic, which, there you go, that's basic. You choose your resolution, so you can go from 800 to 600, all the way to whatever your desktop can support. Mine's 1080p, so that's what I have it on. It's also what I recorded. I do believe that if I played the game in 1080 and recorded in 720, the final video is not as good quality, but I'll get more frames. At the moment I'm getting 20 odd frames just standing here on ultra, so it's not that much of a factor for me. I prefer to record in 1080. Get sidetracked there. Video mode, you've got windowed mode, which shrinks the video down to whatever size you want it, and you can drag it around. You've got full screen, which is what I'm playing in at the moment, which is exactly what it says. It's full screen. There's no action bars, there's no close or minimise buttons, there's nothing over the top. And you've got full screen windowed, which is cross between the two. It's windowed, so you can still have things running in the background and over the top, but it actually looks full screen. Sometimes you get better frame rates from that, sometimes you don't. It's up to you. You can experiment with that if you really want to. But yeah, I'll just leave that on full screen because it's fine. Vertical sync. In some other games it's known as V-Sync. Basically what vertical sync does is it makes the frame rate limited to your screen refresh rate. So if you've got a 60 Hz monitor, the maximum frames per second you can have is 60 Hz, so it stops what they call tearing. So if the frame rate's too high, sometimes the game goes funny, which I've never noticed. Sorry, got a message, getting distracted. So yeah, it limits this refresh, the frames per second to your refresh rate of screen. For me, I've never had it on. Every single game I automatically turn it off because I always get better frames per second by turning it off. Even if I go above 60 and I'm getting 120 frames in places in World of Warcraft, for example, it does happen. And I've never ever noticed any screen tearing, so completely up to you. I recommend turning it off. If you're having troubles, then turn it on. So override desktop grammar, full screen mode only, by the way. So if you're on windowed mode, this won't work. I always leave this unchecked because all it does is change the brightness of the game, and 99% of the time it's perfectly fine. So it says adjust the slider until the image below is barely visible. So let's bring it down. So you see there, that's the lowest, which looks really dark, and then that's the brightest, which looks ridiculous. So I just turn it off, and you know, it looks fine for me. It looks great. Some people may need to change that if the desktop gamma's not quite right. But that's it for the basic. We'll go into the advanced. Low quality renderer. This is for really low performance video computers. So if you're getting frames like 10, 12 maximum, even on minimum quality settings, then check that, restart the game, and everything won't look pretty or good at all, but the game will be playable for you. So if you're having trouble with frame rates even on minimum, then check the low quality render. Right, so what I'll do is I'll go through these quality presets and talk about what each of these settings does afterwards. So on minimum, I'd stand at the top of this hill here and look down, because we'll see the effects all down there. So let's go ahead and apply that. The screen will reload, and as you can see, all them little houses, all the bits of grass, all the fireballs that were flying through the air, you know, it doesn't look good at all. Not to me, you know, it looks alright, it's playable, you can still see what you need to see, so if you're getting decent frames on minimum, then try low, it's a little bit better. So as you see, we can see some of the house there, still not got no grass around my feet, you know, the NPCs still look pretty good. You see more of the things flying through the sky. Medium. So we're getting a few bits of ground density. Get a bit more glowing on these lights here. We're getting even more things flying through the sky. You can see a couple more houses down there. Let's change this to high. We've got a little bit more grass. That's the main significant difference there. Everything else just slightly better. Do we get shadows on medium? So got the same as the shadows. Let's go on ultra now. There's ultra. We've got these little rocks down here. We've got some more little bits of grass. You can see even further into the distance. But the difference between that and high, you got the NPC shadows instead of just the environment, and things like that. So let's have a look at the individual settings, so you can get your custom settings just to how you want, and how you want the game to, well, everybody wants the game to look as best it can, but how to get the game looking as best you can for you, with the things that you want to look for, but getting rid of the stuff that doesn't matter so much to you, and getting a maximum frames per second for your custom ability. So terrain distance is exactly what it says on the tin. It's how far you can see into the distance. So if we go to 6 there, maybe we can see this, maybe we can't. I'll go as far back here as I can, where I can still see them houses at the bottom, because that's probably the best example to get right. So let's go there. So that's 6. See these mountains in the distance over here, we can see these houses. Let's go 5. You can still see all that, so this isn't a very good example spot. Maybe over here. So we got this little bit in the background. See what we can see on 6. Exactly the same. 5. See, that's on 5. 4. You can still see all this stuff, even on 4. Pretty clearly. 3. I'm getting things. 2. Everything's still there, which is a shame really, because it's not. Oh, that's object distance. Terrain distance is completely different. Should be the mountains in the background there. So let's put that 6. There's no difference there. Maybe even too small of a zone to see that, but that mountain there is really far away. If I can still see that on 3, then it's going to increase my frames. Which it's not really, because it's still loaded, but there we go. Let's run back up here and mess about with the object distance. So we'll stand next to this NPC here, and we'll go with object distance. We'll put that on minimum, which is 55. All these objects around here have disappeared. And this goes, you know, really sensitive up to 108. So let's go around the middle-ish. 115, so we've got these objects still drawn here. Which is, you know, that's a good distance to see. 180. We've got those little objects there. So we get smaller objects drawn in. That has not at all touched my frames, bringing them from up or down. I'm going to put them on maximum, considering it's not dropped my frames. I'm going to go object detail 0. So as you can see, something actually happened over here. Let's put it to 100 again. There we go. Have a look at these rocks and this little spiky thing here. So if we go to 0, yeah, it doesn't look great. It doesn't look bad. You can still see what it is. It's 100% visible, but it's removed the lighting from there and as much detail. We'll go half. We'll go maximum. We're getting a difference. See this shining little bit of light here, and you know, the little things like that. If you're not bothered that the object doesn't look great, that's halfway. Yeah, it still looks pretty good. Still looks near enough exactly the same, but it's squeezing that a little bit more frames out of my graphics. So again, if I put that to, let's see how far push it to get all these. So that's everything there drawn in, which is exactly the same as it is on 180. So let's gently nudge this down to where they disappear. Around there, so around 140 is good for me. Frame distance, I'll put that down to 4. So, you know, I've squeezed an extra 5 frames per second there just off those 3 settings. And it's not made a difference to the way I think the game looks. I still think it looks pretty great compared to Ultra, you know, which I can run on comfortably about 30-40 frames. But if this gets me, those like going through this and doing things that don't make a massive game change for me, but you know, still looks great, and I get that extra 20 frames, then you know, go me. Anisotropic filtering, that's a big one. Very GPU intensive, very. So if I put that to 16, you can see, you know, everything, every little bit of detail becomes a bit more sharper. Just keep an eye around this patch here. In fact, this whole area, this grass and these spike and the rocks, just watch that area when I take this down to 0. It just goes blurry. You know, it's not as sharp, it's not as crisp, but that has increased my frames by another 5 just by losing that little bit of sharpness. It was on 2 and I took it down to 0, put it on 1. It's not a major difference there. It's still, you know, it's not that crisp unless I'm going to have it, you know, let's have a look at 8. Unless I'm going to have it around 8, 6, you know, it still looks good on 6. You still see the crispness here. 4, you even at 4 you get this crispness, and it still looks pretty good. At 2, it's okay. It's there, but it's not perfect. At 0, it's kind of blurry. For me, running around in the environment, I don't need to see every blade of grass. I've got all these little bits waving around. I don't need to see every little scratch on the rocks and things like that. For me, those extra 5 frames per second outweigh that massively. So we've got texture quality. This will reload the UI, I think, when I change this one. So let's see. Change that to 1. We'll reload. We'll stand next to one of these guards and have a look. So we've got this rock and this guard. Okay, let's have a close look at these. Again, I'll put that up to maximum and we'll see the difference. It's a little harder to tell because it's not an instant change, but I'm not seeing that much of a difference. Let's have a look at his eyes, because that's some detail. Nothing. To me, there's no difference there at all. Try again and I'll have a look at this cannon. It's got like loads of little dots and these swirls here, some cogs, some design. So let's have a look at that. There's this again with the anisotropic filtering. It's similar to that. It's making it a little bit blurry. These dots aren't as deep. The ridges on the cogs aren't as deep, and these little grooves aren't as crisp and smooth. But let's just have a look at the frames that are different. There's hardly any frames there, so there's not that much different. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that on 1 because it's not bothering me that much. That it's not perfect. It's not. Ah, there we go. Look, see this, the cracks here going down here. See, it's gone. There's no path. It all looks smooth. Let's have a look on 2. No, it's a little bit of path. On 3, there's, you know, a bit more mud and cracks in there. For the difference between the frames, I'm going to leave it as it is because I'm not getting any different in the frames. Yeah, so let's see what we've got with 130. Take it off. Exactly the same, so it's no different. I'm going to leave it on because, you know, I can have it looking a bit better, but it's not going to make a difference. Ground clutter density. This will affect both your CPU and your GPU. So have a look at the grass here. There's a lot more grass, as you can see. So that's took me to 20 frames. Let's have a look at it 0, so no grass. That's 25. Let's have a look at it in the middle. You know, it's not bad. There's about a 5 frames per second difference between it. So I'm going to stick it in the middle. So I'm possibly losing 2 frames, but it's, you know, to me it looks a lot better having this grass. Ground clutter radius. So stand on this rock here, you can see right down there you've got grass. So I can take this down to 0. There's none anywhere near me. The middle, 69 around. It goes to there. I've got 150, so let's go 100. So that's like a third, 2/3 of the way in. It goes to just behind that tree. 150. Applies it right to the edge over there. So let's have a look at where 75 gets me, because that's the middle. Gets me to around there. So that's hovering 20. still hovering around the same mark, so that's not made a difference to my frames. Rendering that grass all the way down there, so it looks a bit better. There's a rift going on over there. They look awesome. Shader complexity. Let's have a look. Take that right down. So that again changing this bit of the environment. So let's make that full. That again hasn't touched my frames per second, and it makes the game look a little bit better. Lighting quality 0, and up again, and that hasn't touched my frames. What you need to do is just mess with these settings. Okay, because for me most of these settings aren't making a major difference between being on ultra and low or minimum. It's not making a huge impact on my system. Maybe it's because I'm recording video. I'll try and do this after recorded, but while I'm recording it's hovering, you know, depending on where I'm looking. If I look over there I get 25, if I look down there I get 20, if I look up there 21, back there 24. So, you know, depending on where I'm looking, it's not making a major difference to my frames. It's still, you know, pretty fluid and playable. So let's have a look, mess with the other settings, see if that makes any major differences, because we're getting to some of the heavy ones here. Particle density, quality, sorry. On WoW it's called particle density. It shows you spells. So what I'll do is I'll put it on 0, and you can probably watch this lamp at the back here as well. So you see it spells, just a little green glow, a little yellow glow, that's a bit of lightning. We'll put that on 750. Apply. It looks exactly the same. Maybe it does something different on here, but it's not made a difference to me. So let's have a look at this armor. The guy again. No difference whatsoever in that. Let's look at the cannon, see if it changes that. So it's not very clear what these settings do for me. You know, changing them doesn't do much in the game. Spell detail. That's on 3. That's on 1. And again, no difference at all. So unless they're not actually changing anything as I'm applying them, it doesn't make a difference. I'm just gonna leave everything possibly on the default for Ultra, which, you know, the game looks really nice and it's alright. So we've got trilinear filtering. So that, let's uncheck that and see what happens. But no, nothing at all. Nothing seems to be changing. It's not changing my frame rate anyway, I'll tell you that much. So we'll leave that checked. Full screen effects. Enable effects such as bloom, blur and distortion. These are really graphically intensive. You see that there? That it went a little bit duller. Now I'll put it back on. Just watch the mountains in the back here. See? Everything got made a little bit brighter and clearer. And that took like 2 frames off me. So I'm going to leave that as it is. Have a look on this rift. It just adds a little bit more glow to the Rift. You know, it doesn't make it. It makes it a little bit more epic. So look at that there, and it drops like 2 or 3 frames. Projected textures. This is also another. All these here are supposed to be pretty GPU intensive, so let's disable projected textures. This little bit here. Have a look at this little bit. So it's the area. See that rifts come in, and it's kind of took control of that little bit of land there, but it's not made that much difference as it is. You know, it's going now. Go. So it's a bit more like ground clutter density. So we'll leave that on. It didn't make that much difference. Some frames, additional environmental objects like rocks and foliage. Turn it off. So we turn that off. We've still got rocks, we've still got foliage. 25. Nothing, no difference. Ambient occlusion, higher quality lighting. Well, that's made a pretty big difference to my frames, which changes. You know, the shadows are a little bit crisper and clearer, but it doesn't make a difference to me. It doesn't matter for my gameplay. But gaining that extra 6 frames, which again just then by disabling it, which is really good. Multipath terrain. Have a look at these rocks here. Yeah, look at these rocks here. You've got it. Right, we'll enable it. Just looks a bit more realistic and that. So let's turn it off. I got another 2 frames out of that, so I'm going to leave that like that, because again that's not really bothering me. I'm not going to be running around going, oh, those rocks look horrible. So that's cool. Cloaks. Don't think there's anybody around with cloaks on. We'll turn it to none. No difference whatsoever. No difference. I'll leave that. Anti-aliasing. This does kill graphics cards. So I'll put on super sampling just to show you. Basically, it just makes things move a bit better and a bit smoother. And you can. Some games, like the hair will move as you jump, and just makes it, that much realistic. So that's dropped me down to 17 frames. Turning that on, turning it off, straight up to 30 again. So, for something that makes the game a little bit different, a little tiny bit different, dropping half my frames, it's really not worth it. Again, with the shadows, have a look at the shadows there and there, turn them off. That's an extra 5 frames right there, straight away, just for turning shadows off. Put environment only on, which is like these trees, something like that. That's took me down to 22. Put it on full. Again 22. Take it off. 32. So 10 frames for not having shadows. That's simple for me. So yeah, that's it. That's all the options there I've gone through. I know it's a bit long of a video and I've been rambling on a bit about things, but I was trying to give you an idea of what each option did and each setting, just so you could choose how you wanted your game to look and squeeze the most out of the graphics. I mean, I've squeezed myself 15 frames per second there for making the game not look bad. It doesn't look bad, I've still got my light shadows on there, I've still got my foliage on the ground, you can still see the foliage right in the distance. Everything around my environment. I mean, when I get into a raid environment, I might need to change the spell detail, the particle quality, things like that, depending on, you know, how things go in the raid environment. I might just end up dropping the whole thing straight down to medium and going, you know, it don't look too bad, it don't look amazing, but, you know, the game's playable. What makes the game enjoyable for me is the people I'm interacting with, not how graphically amazing it is. Maybe if they had a better graphics card, I could throw everything on ultra, everything to the highest quality, and go, I'm having a great time and the game looks absolutely amazing. I might enjoy it that a little bit more, but it's not going to make me stop wanting to play because my computer doesn't handle it as well as others do. It doesn't make me less of a player, it doesn't hinder my play style at all. So yeah, just have a mess around with the settings. If you've got to spend half an hour messing around with the settings to get your game set up how you want it before you start playing, then that's okay. If you want to just whack it on medium or low, whatever you quickly go, oh, get for 60 frames per second steady, this will do for me, then that's entirely up to you. I'm not going to tell you to use the settings that I've used because that's particular for me and my PC. So mess around, see what you do. Hopefully it makes the game that little bit more enjoyable for you because you're not struggling with your frames. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I shall make another video on the interface. I'll try and keep that one a little bit shorter because I actually want to get into the game and fight that rift up the hill. Yeah, I'll see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up to date. And again, thanks for watching.